The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello, welcome to the Alldus podcast. As part of our ServiceNow series, I am very happy to welcome Christian Seiberl. Christian is CSM and SMM lead at iTSM Group. Christian, thank you so much for being on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Christian, can you tell me a little bit about your journey into the world of ServiceNow?
Yeah, I started in 2005 as a software developer, my first company, and here I got in touch with process automatization and standardization. In this role that I had in my first company, I introduced a completely automated process for software development, starting with defining the requirements and ending up with creating the release notes and patch notes for the update. Yeah, and then I thought that there has to be more, and there has to be a more modern tool like Informa times Lotus Notes. So then I found ServiceNow, and yeah, it's the right tool for me, and I'm very happy that I've found this position. And my first CSM project in 2018, and yeah, since 2021, I'm the lead for CSM and FSM at the iTSM group. So it's a very cool journey that I've started with ServiceNow now about 5 years ago. So yeah, I'm very happy about this decision.
Christian, tell me a little bit about where your passion comes from. And for people that are actually new to ServiceNow and they don't necessarily know so much about it, tell us a little bit what makes ServiceNow so different from other systems out there.
What I think is so cool in the ServiceNow world is that you have such an active community. If you have questions, if you also take part in this community, you have so many ways to ask for questions and also help other people. And ServiceNow especially has the slogan, platform of platforms. So you don't replace the focus is not on replacing other systems. So focus is on the integration. And that's what is often a challenge, and also what makes the work with ServiceNow so cool. And ServiceNow offers so many out-of-the-box flows for many areas. And this is also something that is really cool, because if you think about other process tools where you can make flows, but you have in ServiceNow pre-configured flows. You have a starting point. You don't have to start on the green field for most of your processes, and that's what is really cool. And also the way ServiceNow works, every release, the part of configuration is getting more. You are implementing less every release. So we call it kind of clicky configuration is getting more and more, and it's much easier to adapt to the customer needs. That what is the big benefit for me for you using this open platform.
Christian, when you look at ServiceNow and you look at the area that you're specializing in, CSM and SFM, tell us more about what type of projects that you're working on at iTSM Group, and how do you maximize the platform for your customers?
Yeah, the funny thing is that you always start with a small scope in this CSM project. My first CSM project in 2018 was from the automotive sector, and at that time the features, for example, in the CSM area were very limited. If I compare it to the features that are available now, there were no sold products, for example, no install base items, no partner construct, or also these internal users that are also be treated like customers. And therefore the features grew a lot. And in this first project, the scope rised in that way that currently there are about 50,000 tickets a year, which are created by customers, dealers, or also importers. And new also here is that also not only the B2B sector is integrated, also the B2C sector is now integrated. And in this scope, the ServiceNow is never sleeping. So it's available 24 hours, 7 days a week around the world. So also small dealers, let's say in China or any other country in the world, are using this platform, and it's used for basic case handling, integration, iTSM, CSM, and also special integration, special case handling, and also integration of specific tools and also diagnostic tools which are integrated. So we started with a slow or a very limited scope, let's call it onboarding of dealers or employees from a dealer. And now the scope raised, and it's a system, or I think, which is necessary for the whole company now.
So we go to a little bit more detail. What's the big difference between iTSM and CSM and /FSM projects?
The big difference is that you most of the time don't speak with guys from the IT. In the CSM area, you're talking to customer service managers, to service managers, to hotline responsibles. And you always have a different scope. So some of them have a centralized way to do their customer service. Others have more locally based. So that if someone from the United States is calling, also someone from the United States picks up the phone or cares about the case. So this is a big difference to the ITSM world. The people in the customer service often don't care about incident, change, or request. They only have a ticket. And this is also the way where ServiceNow helps you a lot, that you have this case object and the customer doesn't have to care about what's behind. Is it an incident? Is it a request? Is there a problem or a change? You only have your single point of contact. That's your case. And this makes the interaction with the customer much more easier. And in comparison to ITSM projects, you also have this external view and this separation of flows. You have the internal flow for the fulfillment and the external communication flow, which is very important and which plays a big role if we talk about customer satisfaction, because no customer wants to wait long for a response for his concern. So this is mainly the biggest difference, that you have this very important and also this very important part. This external communication has a big impact on the success of a company, because the service does not end at if you sell a product. You are a partner of your customer for the whole life cycle. And if your customer is happy with the life cycle, with how you treat your customer after selling a product, he will also buy his next product, the company. So therefore, the after sale process, the support process, is getting more and more important.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Christian, so what advice would you share if somebody is going on this journey where I suppose they don't necessarily know which way to go and they want to look at the opportunities of CSM and FSM, and they probably want to just learn from your experience in this area?
Best way to learn here is to be open-minded. Always think about, what can I do to improve the customer satisfaction? What are trends like AI, augmented reality, 3D printing? What are technologies which can support the customer? So you always have to be customer focused. And what's also very important, you have to love working with processes, automatization and standardization. So that's the most important thing. Be open-minded and you have to love processes.
So be open-minded, focus on that customer relationship. How are you going to improve that customer satisfaction? Tell us a little about some of the trends that you're seeing in this world. Any particular trends that are standing out in the ServiceNow ecosystem? We'd be really interested to hear about them.
What is in the ecosystem very important is that it's getting easier to use after each release. And especially if I think about the latest release, the San Diego release and the changes in the UI, that's the surveys is getting more and more intuitive. Workspace and the former UI 16 getting together. It doesn't look anymore like two different tools. The ServiceNow UI is now one. This is a cool trend, what we can see, and in that the components in the UI more and more reusable. As I said before, we have less coding, more configurations. So low code is getting, or the importance of low code is getting higher and higher. What else do we have? Yeah, we have many interesting companies which are developing special solutions, and sometimes they already have integrations for ServiceNow, and others we integrate. For example, we have a partnership with Partium, for example, where we have the AI-based search integrated, where we make a picture and the Partium AI, for example, delivers the product or the component which is affected. So this AI-based picture recognition, I think, is something that is getting more and more important. You don't have to search for products, just make a picture. All these topics are getting more and more important. And also, if I think about augmented reality, which might support all the support or the service management processes. So there are many trends, many companies which are developing really cool features. And yeah, we have to find these companies or these features they provide and integrate them in ServiceNow. And that's also the thing that I mentioned already before, that ServiceNow is the platform of platforms. We integrate and improve the processes for the customer.
I love that, the platform of platforms. It's just really good, and that picture recognition piece is really good because you no longer have to search, and that's so beneficial to the users. Everyone can relate to that. You've been listening to the Alldus podcast as part of our ServiceNow series. I've had the absolute pleasure of speaking to Christian Seiberl. Christian is CSM and SM lead at iTSM Group. And Christian has given us a little bit of an overview of his background, moving from a software developer in 2005 to getting more involved in ServiceNow. We were talking a little bit about his passion for the product and how the value that actually it can add. We delved into a little bit about CSM projects in automotive and talked a little about some of the basics, benefits that can have within the service providers that are there. And then we actually talked a little bit about the difference in iTSM and CSM/SFM projects. We talked a little bit from the internal and external flows. Christian really passionately talked about the importance of being focused on how to improve customer relationships, but most importantly, being really open-minded about how you actually went on this journey. And when we actually looked to close off the interview, we talked about some of the trends and where we actually see it going. Christian, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.